It's Car Week on the Monterey Peninsula. Car shows everywhere. And today we're going to visit the Bonhams tent. Bonhams, as it says on their website, is a privately owned international auction house founded in 1793. It's one of the world's largest and most renowned auctioneers of fine arts, antiques, motor cars, and jewelry. Founded in London by an antique print dealer, Thomas Dodd, and Walter Bonhams, a book specialist. By the mid-1800s, they expanded and ventured into different areas, fast handling all categories of antiques, including jewelry, porcelain, furniture, arms and armor, and wine. In 2000, the Brooks Auction House that specialized in motor cars acquired Bonhams, and since they auctioned cars as well. The founder of the Brooks Auction House was Robert Brooks, a car enthusiast and avid car racer himself. And in 1987, he brought down the gavel on a 1931 Bugatti for $10 million. That's $21 million in today's money. This long-lasting record-selling price was overtaken by his own firm in this location in 2014, when a 1962 Ferrari was sold for $38 million. Today, operating out of its major sales rooms in London, New York, San Francisco, Hong Kong, and Los Angeles, Bonhams conducts some 400 annual sales through its 60 specialist departments. Their work and expertise plays an important role to recognize and preserve cultural values for future generations. They employ more than 800 people, and one of them is Greg Porter. He's going to be our guide today. Here we are, Bonham's big auction. It's Car Week in Carmel Valley, and you know Car Week. We've got a professional here that knows everything. Greg Porter, you're not a local. You're from South Carolina, but you know everything there is to know about Bonham cars.
I try to know everything there is to know. What's neat in this business is you learn something new every day.
Okay, and you know a lot about this big car behind us here, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'm a Jaguar enthusiast. This is a very special and important Jaguar. This is one of the few lightweight GT cars that Jaguar built to challenge Ferrari in the road racing world of the 1960s. It was then owned by Briggs Cunningham, who was a prominent American who was one of the first Americans to really go to Le Mans to try and win it. So it's a very important car with very great racing history, and it's just very special.
And you're telling us it's up for auction today?
Yes, it is.
What do you think we're looking at here in price-wise?
I would say the official numbers from us are between $8 to $10 million.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow, I'm sorry I bumped into it. So, just kidding. So let me ask you how the auction works. Let's say this is a $10 million car and somebody buys it. How does that work for Bonhams? They obviously get a cut, but is it secret? Is it something that's well known?
The public buyer's commission is 10%. Seller's commission kind of varies by deal. So that's how that works.
$10 million being thrown around. Everybody gets a cut.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes into this. There's a lot of effort that goes into the tent, and a lot of effort that we put into cataloging and everything else. And that's one of the advantages of auction. You do get a lot of exposure, and you do get a lot of dedicated work behind the sale of your motor car.
Greg, let's go look at another car.
Sure.
Greg, we have a very popular car behind us. It's the McLaren. Tell me about it.
The McLaren F1 is kind of the car of the ultimate car of the 1990s. I remember when this car came out when I was a kid. It was the fastest car ever built at the time, over 250 miles an hour. It still holds speed records today for non-supercharged and non-turbocharged vehicles. They built very few of them, and they are an incredibly special, groundbreaking automobile. And they will be significant for years to come.
It's a carbon fiber, isn't it?
Yes, it's one of the first vehicles that was first street vehicles that was carbon fiber. Most supercars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis are built with carbon fiber. This was one of the first vehicles that was built with carbon fiber technology.
And our viewer wants to know, what do you think the asking price, or what it might go for today?
I believe this car is slated to be $15 million and over.
Greg, I noticed the seat for the driver is in dead center of the car. What's up with that?
It was one of the things McLaren chose to do with design. And one of the other interesting things about it is this car actually seats three people. It seats driver in the center, passenger seat to the right and passenger seat to the left, which is something that not a lot of cars really did. They were kind of one of the first people to do that with a supercar, and that kind of was a very big attention grabber at the time. That when you drove a McLaren, you drove in the center. So,
No room for the mother-in-law.
no room for the mother-in-law, but room for at least 2 passengers.
Sounds great. Let's go look at another car. Greg, what are we looking at here behind us?
This is a very special Maserati 300S, which was a car built for sports racing. This car comes from the golden era of racing cars, where you could actually drive a car like this to the track, win the race, and drive it home. So that's kind of special. And one of the other things that's very special about it is it was driven by one of the most famous racing drivers of all time, Mr. Juan Manuel Fangio from Argentina, who pretty much dominated sports racing cars, Grand Prix cars, anything he drove, he was brilliant in. And this is one of the cars that he campaigned.
What kind of top speed are we talking for a Maserati like this?
This car really depends on how it's geared. I would say in a straight line, you're looking at over 100 and definitely over 130 miles an hour. And it really is depending on how brave you want to push it. That's what made Fangio special, is he was brilliant, and you can watch his videos today on YouTube and see how brilliant he was.
And these older cars, they kind of lack some safety features.
Yes, they do. With these cars, basically the rule of thumb was don't crash. If you did crash, there was a good chance that you were going to be very seriously injured. They're very minimalistic safety belts, no real roll cage, so it was really an era of heroes, if you want to put it that way.
Let's go see another car. We have what looks like a pretty fast car behind us here. Tell us about it.
Yes, it is very fast. This is a very special Lotus that was built for the Indianapolis 500. It's been raced by a lot of the legends and is one of the cars that holds the most poles at Indy. So it is, in fact, very fast and very special.
And do we have any list of drivers that have been driving this one?
Yes, pretty much all the greats drove this car. A man named Jim Clark, who won 3 Formula One Grand Prix, was tragically killed. He drove this car. A.J. Foyt, who is a legend in American racing, drove this car. Parnelli Jones has also been attached to it, so a lot of great racing drivers have driven this car.
How about a top speed and a price?
Top speed for this is kind of tricky. It depends on gearing. I believe around the Indy at that period, a fast lap was around 130 to 140 miles an hour.
What do you think the auction price might go for this today?
I believe it carries an estimate on of 1.9 to 2.1 million.
Amazing prices, amazing cars. It's all here at Bonhams Car Week.
Hey, Jack, I've got to get to work, and how about you guys go take a look at all the great cars we have?
Thanks, Greg. Nice hanging out with you. All right, dude. And this is the auction hall, where millions of dollars will change hands shortly, but we will not be here for that auction. And with this, we wrap it up here at the Bonhams Auction House. Thank you for joining us, and a big thank you to Bonham to allow us to peek into their operation at the last minute. We'll see you next time on our next adventure.